Tim, can you take your clock off the wall? Put it on the table.
It's like I'm stopping time itself. You know, like...
I have to admit, sometimes it does feel like time has stood still when we're talking.
Well, I have an idea, and I think it is a kind of fun idea, and it's a little bit off what we normally do. So I've been wondering about whether you would rule it invalid or not.
Oh, okay.
I think it might be all right, and I've been sitting with it for a few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the idea.
Well, go on then.
Do you want me to go first?
Put me out of my misery? Yeah, you go.
This idea would be called The Queen Isn't Dead.
Right.
It's a bit of a play on the seminal album by the Smiths, right, from the 80s, The Queen Is Dead.
Right.
But this would be a podcast by the Queen. So this may fall into the category of podcasts that probably won't get made from the ones we do talk about. But I think it's kind of a category of impossible podcasts, or, you know, ones that you would love to see happen but are pure fantasy. But I think it would be a stroke of genius if the Queen just started doing a podcast. Not a normal podcast, like, you know, an official speech kind of podcast, but just if suddenly it appeared, her speaking and reflecting, you know, like we do, like unbelievably frankly about stuff that's happened that week, things that's going on in her life, and particularly stuff that's in the TV series The Crown that's wrong. Like she just started pulling it apart.
Just like does a big takedown.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rubbish.
just addressing, but really detailed stuff as well. Like going, there's no way I would have worn that dress. That dress.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always sat on the left at those meetings.
That's right. Just starts commentating on the world around her.
Or imagine if she loved the documentary and she was just like, "Oh my God, I was awesome last night. Did you see how I told the Prime Minister where to go?"
Replayed that scene over and over.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. I can't believe Olivia Colman's playing me. I was so flattered.
That's right. Sorry, I had to stand up for a sec there, man. Yeah, that's right.
You always do that when Tim always stands up when we talk about the Queen. It's just part of the thing he does.
It's a mark of respect.
Would she have like a co-host?
I thought about that, but I couldn't think of anyone. But so I like the idea of her just sort of doing this off her own bat, just getting a microphone out and going, well, hello, yes, it's me again. You know, like.
Just like with almost like a vlog, like where they just like those makeup vloggers just talk inanely to the camera for like 30 minutes. Here's what's in my handbag.
It doesn't even address like major topics. Like never mentions Brexit, but go
no. Brexit snooze.
But goes into great detail about the way she makes coffee.
Oh, what a snooze fest Brexit is. But did you see I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here last night? Ant and Dec are the bomb.
I wondered which one of us would be the first to slip into a Queen impression. I'm so pleased it was you.
Imagine if she had like guests, but they were always like other monarchs. Like, ooh, today I have the King of Thailand.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought she could have the Pope. Some of you...
The Pope?
I've got Francis. You'll know him as the Pope. Say hello, Francis. You know. Hello.
The Popes, they're going, I can't get this microphone to work. I've taken the clock off the mantelpiece. I've got my Yeti working, and like they haven't told any of their like PR people or minders about it. They've just gone and done it on their own.
I'm going to count to 10. One is going to count to 10.
You certainly threw me a curveball calling it The Queen Isn't Dead, but I'm not sure I would call it that. But
what would you call it? I thought about Anarchy in the UK as another fun title too. But
I would call it just something like HRH or something, you know, for Her Royal Highness or something, or like, you know, or just like Liz.
Liz. I guess I like the idea of that, like if she did an official, it's a bit like those official Twitter accounts, from, Kensington Palace or from the Pope, and they're all so formal.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of it having, like a bit of an pop culture influence title, or The Real Crown, that's what you could call it, or something like that.
Breakfast with Liz.
It would be, it would
Lizcast.
Lizcast, or tea with Liz. But I think there wouldn't it be a masterstroke just to do it?
Oh, I'd be totally into it.
Particularly if she was really frank.
What if it was announced, right? Imagine this. It's announced, okay, the Queen's doing a podcast. The first one's coming out on Monday and everyone gets excited. And you and I are excited because, the Queen's doing a podcast. And we tune in and download the first episode. And it turns out her idea for a podcast is each week she talks about ideas for podcasts that she thinks should be made. It's the Queen doing it. She just does our idea. And it just takes off, obviously, because it's the Queen. And everyone's like, she's a genius, what a great idea. And we're here going, no, that was our idea.
That was our idea.
The Queen stole our idea.
That would be, that would be very frustrating. Well, no, it would just be cool. It'd just be cool. Just hang on a sec.
And she actually starts lifting all our ideas. Like the first episode, she talks about one's idea to do a podcast about Groundhog Day.
That's right. She just says Groundhog Day. Sounds like my life. All right. It would be cool to hear her favourite movies and, albums. Like, really, stuff she plays around the house.
I wonder if the Queen ever listens to podcasts.
I don't know. Well, obviously I don't know, man.
Other than when she has to do official things, she's going to the opening of things, or she's doing some official occasion. Do you think the Queen has ever worn headphones?
You mean just like a Walkman? I reckon she may have.
Earbuds or headphones.
Yeah, I reckon she would have. I reckon she would have gone for a walk and put something on. Surely.
You reckon?
It's hard to imagine, isn't it? But
I'm going to put it out there. I don't think the Queen has ever worn headphones, except at official occasions where, Your Royal Highness, this is our special, audio unit that you're opening, and she'll put them on for oh, yes, very nice. Thank you very much. But other than that.
That's right. She would have worn ear muffs in the snow. And
oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
And she would have worn, and on an aircraft carrier or, a plane taking off, put these on, Your Majesty, But that's different. That's ear muffs. So that's for warmth, not for high quality sound. It's not like she's got, beats in her ear.
I can't find a picture of her wearing. I haven't found one yet, but
check her personal Instagram, man.
I'll just text her. Anyway, good idea, man. A podcast by the Queen's good.
She's such an enigmatic figure, isn't she? There's really no one on earth quite like her in that sense. Just she's such an intriguing figure in that regard, which is why a drama with lots of fiction in it, like The Crown, is obviously so popular as well, filling in the blanks of the bits and pieces that we would find interesting.
Are you enjoying The Crown?
Yeah, I have been enjoying it, except this new series, I don't know, I've watched 3 episodes and I've not gotten into them. That may be just a bit weary at the end of the day, but I do enjoy it, I have to say. Yeah.
My wife thinks Olivia Colman's overrated as an actress, which is an unbelievably scandalous thing to say in the UK.
Yeah, well.
That's almost like saying something bad about the Queen herself, but she thinks she's a bit overrated.
I think that she's a very endearing character. Like when she was Rev's wife, I really enjoyed her as a character. So she's a very likeable person. A bit like Tom Hanks. You kind of think he's a great actor because he's such a great guy. I don't absolutely love her as the Queen, that's for sure.
The irony is my wife has met Olivia Colman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She didn't say she was not a good person, by the way. She just thinks she's a bit overrated as an actress.
Yeah, she is very much in the moment, isn't she? An actress of the moment.
Ah, she's like the Queen is just riding on her coattails.
That's right. It's really. Yeah. I wonder if the palace will do any tie-ins to capitalise on their the Crown.
They've got this big banner on the front of Buckingham Palace saying "As seen in The Crown."
That also would be just a really humorous, great PR trick. You know what I mean? They just suddenly hung this. People would love it. That would be so funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's really the royal family style to go with that gag.
No, I know. The gags are not their thing. Although they all went on. It's
Also,
a
the
Knockout,
thing is,
remember?
when you're the royal family, you have to ride above that stuff. And, like, doing it once is funny, but then you've lowered yourself a peg forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the key is to never do it. What do you think when these important people go into social media, like when the Pope starts a Twitter account and stuff like that?
I find it pretty inane, actually. And, well, for a long time, this is where Donald Trump is the massive exception. For a long time, they treated it like an ultra-safe Dorothy Dixer question at a press conference. Like they just make something... And Barack Obama kind of still does this. They're just all... They state the bleeding obvious. And even the Pope, and I got some respect for the Pope, but there's... you know what I mean? He doesn't say anything that makes me go, oh, wow, that really makes me think. It's just sort of very general.
Doesn't he always tweet things like, go out into the world and be lovely and stuff? It's always like, like platitudes, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. They feel like ultra-safe platitudes. And I want to hear a bit more meat.
I want more other stuff. I want to see like a picture of his dinner, like, take a photo of you. Like stuff like that from the Pope.
Well,
a selfie from the balcony with all the thousands of people below, and he's there giving it the, hey, look at me, check out the crowd.
He turned around and did a selfie with the crowds. That would be another moment. I guess they're all managed by other people. That's the thing, isn't it? And it's often with politicians too, which is the unique thing by Donald Trump, is he actually dared to say things even if you don't agree with what he says, and he does it himself, obviously.
Or he employs really bad spellers.
That's right. That's right. Who else do you think would be a great guest for the Queen?
Oh, I would like the Queen to come on our podcast.
Oh, well, this is true.
Because she could use that to promote her own podcast. Today we've got a really special guest. She's got her own podcast out, people. You should all check it out.
Would you put a link to it in the notes?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
At the end, I'd be like, well, thanks for coming on the show, Queen. We'll link to your podcast in the show notes. Check it out, everyone.
And I'm pretty sure she'd get a few views from that. Like there'd be.
She would. She would. I think it'd be good for her. I'd like to know what her ideas were for a podcast. Like, I wonder if she'd be able to break free of the world she lives in. Like, I wouldn't be like, well, I've had an idea for a podcast all about expensive paintings. Like, oh.
That's right. No. You wonder if she might want to do one that's related to, hip hop or something like that. That's just a graffiti, New York graffiti from the 1970s.
New York graffiti presented by the Queen. She does like a documentary with Channel 5 all about American graffiti.
That would be good.
Hey, this is a wonderful piece. I love his tag.
You see the colours are representative of... And let's move over to this next train carriage. Whoops.
This is one of my favourite artists, DJ Double Dubs.
DJ Double Dubs.
That's just what came into my head.
DJ Double Dubs.
Obviously spelt with a Z.
DJ Double.
No, my tag was Rush.
Rush. This is named after Ian Rush from Liverpool.
It did come from Ian Rush, the footballer, but it does look cool as a tag. I even had a tag that I used to practice on bits of paper when we all thought doing tags was cool. What would the Queen do if she was a graffiti artist? Do you think she'd just go around and put like stamps on everything, like first class British stamps?
She signs her name Elizabeth R, doesn't she?
She does, yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
And her signature looks almost indistinguishable from her mother's. I've seen her signature many times because of things I do at the Royal Society.
Oh, yeah.
And hers and the Queen Mother's signature are like practically the same.
Oh, right, okay.
That's a cool tag, Elizabeth R.
Maybe the R stands for Rush, and she's giving like a little...
Yeah. I think it's like, stands for renegade.
Yes,
or rules. Elizabeth rules.
Elizabeth rules, okay.
Should we do an ad?
Yes, let's do an ad.
This episode of the Unmade podcast has been brought to you by Hover.
Man, you're sounding very formal there.
Well, I was getting in like, royal mode.
You were.
I wonder if the Queen would do sponsor ads.
She just do ads. That's great.
One's podcast has been brought to you by Hover. If you needed a man, why don't you check out Hover? you can get 10% off Hover by going to hover.com/unmade.
She'd have something witty like, I have a domain. It's known as the Commonwealth. However, if you would like your own domain.
So if you would like a domain, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, if you're a monarch and you need a new domain for your castle or something like that, or your new podcast, if you want to get, lizrules.fm. Is lizrules.fm available on Hover? Let me check.
I don't know. I was just going to look up and see what you can get for the Queen.
I'm going to see if lizrules.fm, because I've decided that's the name of her podcast now.
Liz
Rules. So the Queen herself could go right now to Hover, and yes, it is available, lizrules.fm. She could add it to her cart. It's $89.99, that one. But she would get, the Queen herself would get 10% off her first purchase at Hover by going to hover.com/unmade. Your Royal Highness, if you are listening, you can also use the promo code unmade at checkout and get 10% off your first purchase. lizrules.fm. Get it while you can. Or if you've got your own idea for a podcast, even if you haven't made it yet, get the domain now, because otherwise someone else is going to pinch it. The Queen herself could pinch it from under your nose.
Do you know what's available here? There's two things available. I've looked up Queen, and there's queen.app, which is $1,000, or queen.blog, which is $13,000.
Yeah, but you don't. They're like really expensive ones. You know what else you can get? But for $10.99, you can get queen.me.uk.
Wow.
You can even get the UK one, queen.me.uk. How has the Queen not bought that yet?
I don't know.
The Queen clearly does not use Hover, and she is missing a trick.
Well, she will after this.
I think so.
Queen.money, queen.mortgage.
Queen.photos is only $21.99. Queen.photos is a great one.
Here's queen.webcam. So she's obviously not interested in it. Hello.
This one's for John in Coventry. Hello, John in Coventry. Thanks for tuning into my webcam.
Basically, this is a podcast by the one person on earth who doesn't need any more media attention or...
Yeah.
Like, she has blanket coverage on the globe, and we've decided, hey, here's another little area that she could branch out into.
Queen.yoga is available if she wants to, it's never too late to, get Queen.family. There's a lot of good Queen domains available.
There are. So I encourage you to consider one of them, but consider them through Hover.
If the Queen started using Hover as her official supplier of domain names, I wonder if they would get one of those official seals, official supplier to the royal family thing that companies get when they're because, as far as I know, she hasn't got an official supplier of domain names at this stage. So
no.
The people at Hover should probably try and jump on that bandwagon.
They should. Although I think she'd pronounce it Hoover. Just...
What? Yeah.
And they wouldn't correct it because I'd just be so glad for the publicity. Let's change the company name.
On that note, let's do an idea from me.
No.
Okay.
If we must.
We don't have to. I mean, at this point, people can stop listening because they know it's going to be one of my ideas, and that's that comes with certain baggage. My idea, it's called Keys to the Planet.
Right.
A lot of cities have this tradition of when someone from that city does a good thing or just anything, but it's a rare thing. They will decide to bestow upon that person the keys or the key to the city.
Yes.
You're from Adelaide, you've had all this great success, we're going to award you the key to Adelaide.
Yes.
It's done very rarely. It's a special thing. My idea is for a podcast, and each week you choose a human being who you just think deserves the key to the planet. So it's kind of like the ultimate award for just having done something. But it's non-specific. So it's not like, Nobel Prizes that have these certain categories and criteria and the Academy Awards and all. There's all these different awards. This is just an award where you just pick a person who you think, you know what? You deserve it. The whole world should honour you. You've done something that's impacted the whole world. But I don't want it to be too worthy and too much the Nobel Peace Prize. I do want it to be kind of a bit fun and quirky. Mm-hmm. And so I imagined you wanted to have an example of someone who I would award the key to the planet to, so I have decided who my first awardee would be.
Oh, who?
Are you excited to hear who it's going to be?
Well, I'm humbled just to be nominated, to be honest, bro.
It's not you.
Okay.
Not yet. Not the first episode. I think we have to have a rule that you and I, because we're the hosts, can't win it.
Well, that's probably the wise thing, yeah.
Or we just take it as a given that we would win it, like, you know.
Well, we just know we'll get honorary ones when we retire.
Yeah.
Because we come out, who comes to mind then with your category?
Here is the first person that I am going to award the key to the planet to. Hang on. Let me call up this person's Wikipedia page so I've got a bit more information to hand. I am going to award the key to the planet to a gentleman who was born on the 8th of February, 1932, in Floral Park, New York.
32 in Floral Park, New York. 70. Oh, so
The person to whom I'm awarding a key to the planet is John Towner Williams.
Wow.
The American composer, conductor, pianist.
John Williams. He's older than I thought.
John Williams.
Wow.
He's 87 years old. He has composed the scores for Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Superman, E.T., the Indiana Jones series, the Jaws films, Jurassic Park, the Harry Potter theme, the Home Alone films, I guess, too. This man, his work is like, his fingerprints are like on my brain and have been since I was a little boy, and for people all over the world. A lot of these bits of music, like, I think it's because of him these things are great. Like, for example, like Harry Potter, maybe he, you know, E.T., maybe he just rode along on the coattails of.
Yeah.
But his music made Star Wars.
Yeah.
It made...
Jaws.
Yes, definitely Jaws. Yeah.
Definitely Jaws. In fact, an argument could be made, it's not a very scary shark without the music. But the music is also classic. You know, how many times as kids in the pool would you know what I mean, put your hand like a fin of a shark and make the sound? Dun-dun.
Yeah. How many times have you done Indiana Jones or Star Wars? Like, these things are just, like, superb. This guy, what a legacy. What a legacy. And in a really good way, by making beautiful, nice things. And key to the planet, John Williams.
Key to the planet. So it does sound ridiculous. So a couple of things come to mind. On the concept itself, I want to get back to John Williams in a second, but on the concept itself, normally it's a city, right? So there's a mayor. A mayor's giving it. We don't really have a mayor of the world. So who would give the award? Would it be all the cities would vote?
Me.
No, just you.
Me. My podcast. So it's me doing it. I decide.
So you're the mayor. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I'm the boss of the world.
Okay, now we've clarified that important detail. Getting back to John Williams. So
yeah,
I agree. I mean, I really love... There are two of his soundtracks that I really love. I really love... Actually, several. I love the Indiana Jones movie music. I think that is fantastic. It's so much...
Yeah.
It's so joyous and it's so fun and it's just magnificent. I also really love the Jurassic Park theme. I think it's a fantastic theme. And I know you and I have both owned this soundtrack in the past, and I've still got it on cassette in the back of the shed somewhere.
It's on my rotation. I sometimes will still listen to it. Who will ever forget that music playing as that wonderful pterodactyl flew into the sunset at the end of the first Jurassic Park film? Who can not hear that and just think of pterodactyls flying over the sea?
That's right. I can see it now. There's. No, it is. It's magnificent. In fact, that bit, particularly when the helicopter comes onto the island for the first time and he's shooting around, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And Star Wars has multiple. Star Wars has, like, you know, classic Star Wars, but you've also got, you know, Luke's theme, Leia's theme, you know, the Imperial March, all those, you know, dun, 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 dun. He's just done it all. He's done it all.
The Imperial March is one that gets in your head a little bit when you watch the films and you're listening for it. I became conscious of it. And you suddenly realize it's sort of every time they're on screen, it comes on, and it gets a little bit irritating when you're looking for it. But it's incredibly effective. It just sounds exactly perfect for the characters and the bad guys.
I mean, obviously his collaboration with Steven Spielberg has helped him a lot. But, you know, Star Wars has nothing to do with Steven Spielberg, and there's lots of other films he's done.
The fact that Spielberg keeps coming back to him and trusts him on such massive films is a sign. Can I say also the moment that his music that I love in Return of the Jedi is the beautiful moment right at the end when Luke, when Darth says that they're in the throne room together fighting, suddenly Darth reads Luke's thoughts about having a sister and then says, if you will not turn, then maybe she will. And he says no, and he comes out and they fight, and it's their last fight. Luke's got the adrenaline going, and there's a beautifully haunting musical theme going on in the background, and I think that's just stunning. I think that's really beautiful.
So I know I didn't give you any preparation because I wanted to spring it on you.
Hang on a sec. I was going to say I want to talk about John Williams a little bit more because I do. Come on, the guy's got the keys to the planet. We can't talk about him for 10
I've opened a can of worms here. Tim Hines' new podcast is just called the John Williams podcast. just talks about how much he loves John Williams. You didn't even prepare, and I can't shut you up talking about John Williams.
Well, I tell you another theme of his that I really love. In fact, I have it in the car, in my second car, which has still got a CD player, like it's an old 70s, VW Beetle. I've got
Tim loves John Williams so much he keeps a second car just for listening to John Williams in.
That's right. That's right. It's got a just like a few CDs in it that have been in there for years and years, and one of them is the theme to the soundtrack to Schindler's List, which is of course incredibly powerful and sparing and has a beautiful repetitive theme all the way through it, and I really quite like that. But I have one slight complaint because a little while ago, a few years ago, I watched Home Alone again with my kids.
Yeah.
And the theme to Home Alone is very similar to the theme from Schindler's List in a different key. I promise you. And I listened to them two together, and I think there's just a very similar melody that's going on between those two that you can kind of see. He doesn't do that with any other theme that I can hear of. I'm not familiar with the Harry Potter one so much, but everything's vastly, Jaws is nothing like Star Wars and all the rest, but I can hear something that's going on that's a bit similar. It's a but I tell you, it's still effective. The theme on Home Alone is a very, very strong melody that works really, really strongly. It pulls the heartstrings.
Yeah.
At Christmas and he's alone and all that stuff. And of course, the Schindler's one, in some ways, had to be sparing because what's going on in the screen is so immense and full on. So
Tim, I know. Can I talk about something else now, or do we have to keep talking about John Williams?
Well, I wanted to move on to some of his lesser known scores.
His Wikipedia article is really interesting. He's an interesting guy. But I know I didn't give you any preparation because I wanted to kind of surprise you. But does anyone spring to mind who you would like to give the key to the planet to? And I'm trying to avoid people like,
Gandhi,
Julius Caesar or, I don't know if they have to be alive or not. I think maybe we should say they have to be alive. Yeah,
it makes it a bit more interesting. I'm trying to think what comes close to this idea. And I guess the Time Person of the Year kind of thing. But it often hits upon someone who's in the moment.
It's always a bit zeitgeisty, the Time Person of the Year.
That's right.
I'm talking about, someone you probably need a sustained, unless you're like Bruce Willis and you save the whole world from an asteroid, I think it needs to be like a sustained period of achievement, not just a one-off incident.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, Bruce Willis in Armageddon would obviously have to get the key to the planet, although he dies, so spoiler. So you can't, I guess he can't get it. You'd have to give it to Ben Affleck.
Didn't even have the key to the spaceship home. He's just... it's hard to go past... I mean, Gandhi or Tom Hanks? Which one do you think is more worthy?
Well, I mean...
Gandhi's not around to receive
it. They're probably the same level, but seeing Gandhi's dead, I will go with Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Just for likability.
Yeah, just because you can trust him with the key.
That's right. I feel like you could... That's right. That's right. Just he'd give a nice speech, like receiving it. So it's like, let's go with him. He'd look good on the day.
Just between us, clearly, key to the planet.
This is this thing.
That's where the idea came from, by the way.
Did it really?
Yeah.
That's great. Keys to the planet.
So
I don't know if it's hard to not think of someone who's just popular whose achievements in one area are so strong that they should be recognised right across the board. So if you take out
what about
politicians,
John Hewson for his 1992 budget response speech?
well, that would come close. But he's got an Unmade podcast T-shirt and sticker.
Yeah,
So
true. Yeah, okay.
It's hard. He probably wouldn't, bother turning up for it. He'd think, well, another another gift. So if you take out politicians and you take out, other composers, because you wouldn't want to crowd the field, you could probably pick an artist. There might be a painter who's a painter who's still alive, who's beloved. It's really hard to think of someone because, of course, we're thinking of the Western world. We're looking at it through Western eyes as well. So there may be someone even more beloved on Earth than Tom Hanks, but,
Sachin Tendulkar.
That's right. Do you know the interesting... do you know anything about why keys are given? And while you're thinking about that, or before you answer it, it's also the key is given on a person's 21st birthday as well. But I think that's the key to the home, isn't it? You've reached an age...
Better give him the key to the door. Never been 21 before.
Did you just make that up?
No, it's from the song 21 Today. 21 today, 21 today. And there's something about the key to the door. Never been 21 before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the key to the door.
Did you get a key on your 21st? I don't think you did you?
I don't think so. But, when you first are entrusted with a key to the house, that was another idea for a podcast I was going to suggest, but didn't, was the moments that can you remember the moments you're first entrusted with a key? Like the first time you're given a key to the house? What a moment that is.
It is, yeah. Because it sort of is permission to go out, isn't it? It's a semi-freedom and responsibility. I've been to a friend's house who has a code on their front door. So they actually put in a code to go through the front door of the house. And I've seen that at work before, but it was really strange walking up to a person's house and then putting in a code to go in.
Yeah, I also know people that have contactless on their iPhone to get into their house.
Oh, wow. Oh, there you go. Do you have a year 2 nominee for Key to the Planet?
Oh, I don't know, but I tell you what, there's a bloody magnificent rainbow out my window right now, landing in the sea. It's beautiful.
Oh,
this is a great piece of podcasting you can enjoy right now as I explain a rainbow. It starts with a reddy orange on one side, and as you move towards the middle, it starts getting a bit greeny purple. Sorry, I just got shocked by it.
Are you going to take a photo and put it up with the episode?
Probably not, because I don't know. Hang on, I better take a photo anyway for my wife. Hang on, I'm taking a photo, man. Hang on.
All right.
Just talk to the people about potential nominees while I'm gone.
Well, Brady takes that photo. It's a time for you and I just to spend some one-on-one time. And
I got it.
Nice work.
You got a nominee yet, or are you gonna? How about you do one next episode, or maybe we could do a pilot episode of this, and we could both pick another one.
That's not a bad idea. I think, and we got to make our case for them. And
I'm worried you're going to give another one to John Williams. You bloody raved about him so much. For the second year running.
I like that you didn't give it to Spielberg, who made the films, but just the guy who adds the soundtrack at the end of Spielberg's films.
Spielberg didn't do Star Wars.
No, I know. No, but
yeah.
So that changes it then. It's like, oh.
I mean, Steven Spielberg's a chance at getting one, maybe. I mean, he's pretty good.
I picked up a book today by Martin Amis, which is about his journeys and articles about America, but from 1985. And I was reading through the one, and one was on Steven Spielberg, and I thought, oh, that's interesting to see what he says about him. And it was just raving about his success and how he's a really interesting filmmaker because, and the core of it was, he doesn't put famous actors, he puts ordinary people. And so he said Spielberg's not the kind of director that shines a light on something. He sort of presents a mirror that we see ourselves. I was thinking that is kind of true, particularly those early films.
Yeah.
They're ordinary people. He never has a big star come into one of his films.
No, he's changed a bit more lately, but yeah. He's done some films with Tom Cruise and stuff, hasn't he, and all that. But
Oh, yeah, like War of the Worlds and stuff like that. I've just Googled the most famous person in the world.
Was it me?
It's no, you're well down the list, but it's... It's really interesting because there's a bunch of different sites with different lists that have popped up the first few people. Let me give you a couple of them. It's just so bizarre. The first one says Oprah Winfrey, right? Number 2, Michael Jackson. And then it goes to Marilyn Monroe. I'm like, oh, okay. Then I move down to this is the second entry on Google. Who is the most famous person in the world? Number 1, The Rock. That's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, who's The Rock?
You're not going to give him the keys to the planet?
That's right, Will Smith. And I'm like, what? Will Smith? He's not the second most famous person in the world.
Who do you think the most famous person in the world is?
Well, it's got to be either the Queen or Barack Obama or probably Donald Trump.
Or the Pope. Did you say the Pope?
I guess the Pope. Yeah. They got here the 65 most famous people ever, and number 1 is Jesus.
Yeah. He did well. He was huge. I mean, he didn't even have a Twitter, and he was huge.
10 most famous people in the world, Mark Zuckerberg. No, Mark Zuckerberg's not that famous. I mean, he is very famous, but he's not, you know what I mean? Like, his product is more famous than the person.
He's pretty famous, though. Do you know what would be a really interesting thing to figure out? Who is the least famous person in the world? because there's a lot of people down at that lowest rung, you know. How could you define who the least famous person in the world is?
Well, the difficult thing, as soon as we mention them, even our humble podcast would shoot them up the list like nothing else.
Surely you'd be up there.
I'd be down there, you mean? Or up there. Up there. The least famous. That's nice. It's like how I like it. It's good.
The least famous person in the world. Imagine that. Imagine how little known you are to be the least famous person in the world. It's a stunning achievement.
Look here, who is the least famous person in the world? I just Googled it, and they're saying you must have some degree of fame to qualify as the least famous.
Okay, so you have to have fame. Because what is fame anyway? But yeah, once we define what fame is, you have to have some of it. So like a newborn baby.
No, yeah.
In a place where there's no television and you've got to all right, there's a criteria.
One famous person who currently lives in New Mexico is Ross Anderson. Anderson is the fastest professional. Why are they just mentioning a random person?
I don't know who Ross Anderson is, but he's just lost his crown as the least famous person.
Everyone Google Ross Anderson. And he's oh, here we go. The 25 least influential people alive. Princess Beatrice is number 2. Number 1 is Tim Pawlenty. I know that name. Who's that? Every election season comes with. He's a candidate for somewhere. Who runs in election races and never wins. T-Paw, as he calls himself, spent much of 2011 as a 6'2" paperweight, an aggressively forgettable fellow, perfectly suited to the role of debate filler. Looks like he must run for the Democrats.
What about former Adelaide Lord Mayor Alfred Huang, whose election I covered?
Oh, did you really? I don't remember him. That must be when I was interstate. Or just because I don't remember him.
Yeah, I was at his election victory party.
Oh, there you go.
He was the Lord Mayor when I left Adelaide. He's the one that gave me the official media nameplate from the council chamber.
Oh,
as
lovely.
like a going away present.
Well, mayors would have to be disallowed as well because this is kind of a mayoral thing, isn't it? Really? So
anyway, sorry. Key to the planet. Well, we may revisit this topic because Tim has not come up with anyone.
Would you make an actual key? Like, is there a physical? Like, how?
Oh, yeah, there would have to be. It would, and it would have to be nice. I'd like it to be small though. I don't want it to be like an oversized key that they sometimes do, like one of those comedy oversized checks when people raise money for charity. I want it to be like something small and classy. But maybe made of something incredibly rare, like some incredibly rare element.
What if it's an actual, just a key size, like it's a nice little key on a keychain?
Yeah.
Like what they gave out at the end of Sale of the Century, you know, when the person won the cars and they got, and here's a nice nice key
It was
chain.
a key ring, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a nice key ring, yeah.
And befitting both the champion and vehicle of this caliber, our 18-karat gold diamond-studded keyring valued at $2,000 from Shimani Jewelry and sale of the century.
Maybe it's key ring to the planet.
How exciting was it when someone was going for the cars on Sale of the Century?
That's right.
And then would they come back and go for the lot?
The lot. Yeah.
The lot, because if you won the cars on Sale of the Century, you could then come back the next night and go for the cars, all the prizes, and the cash jackpot.
This is our carryover champion, Louise Williams from Altona Meadows, Victoria. Tonight, with a win in the game, Louise will take home all the prizes, the 2 Alfa Romeo 147s, and the cash jackpot. A grand total of $344,076.
There was always a segment, so someone would go for the cars after 5 or 6 episodes, and then if you won, do you want to take the cars, or do you want to come back and go for the lot?
This has always bewildered me, that there was a step in between those two. Like, there was the cash jackpot that was 2 nights after the cars.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like you won the cars.
Oh, I thought it was the cars and then the lot.
I was hoping Louise will take the lot.
Well, it is a big night, and it is always a special night when someone goes for the lots.
But the lot didn't include the cash. And I was like,
Did
what?
it not?
What? But you've already won the lot. Like, you've accumulated them week by week by week, and the cars. And then it was like one more game you had to win the lot. And I was like, well, but you've already won them. But there was like another step. And then the night after that was the cash jackpot.
And that's not how I remember it. But hang
I
on.
know, it seems crazy to say it now, but I found that bewildering as a kid.
Maybe you were just not understanding it and you were wrong. Do you remember Sale of the Century, that contestant called Carey, who was amazing?
Oh yeah, Kerry, yeah, with the beard, with the goatee and stuff. Yeah, the beard.
The beard. He was amazing. What was his name? Was it Carey Young? He was like the greatest Sale of the Century quiz player ever. He would like
the smartest guy on earth,
would,
from my opinion, as a kid.
They would just start the question and he would press the buzzer and no. He was the one who, whenever they did like the "Who am I" questions, they would say, "Who am I? I was born in 1933." John Williams.
I remember there was another guy where they stopped halfway through Fast Money at the end when they're doing the Mad Minute, halfway through and said, "Look, we know where this is going. It's all over. You've won. That's it." And I was like, "Whoa, that's amazing!" Like, he was so far ahead they didn't even finish it. Like
What?
They did.
I don't
they got to
believe
like 30
that.
seconds and went, "Look, let's just call it now. You've won. You're ahead. It's crazy."
I don't believe that. I don't believe that
it's
ever happened.
true.
I do not. Until you send me a video of it happening, I do not believe it happened.
Well, how am I going to do that? Well, I reckon it was in the Tony Barber days as well. So, and he's the true quiz master for Sale of the Century.
So for people listening who we've completely forgotten about, Fast Money was a section in this quiz show where in 60 seconds they'd like rapid fire questions, so you had to answer them as quickly as possible. And then it was just like they always called it the Mad Minute.
I think Glenn Ridge called it the Mad Minute. I'm not sure if that was.
That's not officially sanctioned by Tony Barber, the original host, but.
Time for the Mad Minute, so let's find out what's going to happen. So for the game, good luck to you both. The pressure's on. 60 seconds up on the clock, and your time starts now. Something that jogs the memory is set to ring a what? Chris?
Bell.
Yes, beginning with R is which Italian soft cottage cheese? Louise?
Ricotta.
Yes, so what is the basic currency unit of South Africa? Louise?
The rand.
We have talked about Sale of the Century before.
Oh, yeah, I've got 2 right, we have, and we will again, but
I'm just going to have to go Google through Sale of the Century wins the lot, like on YouTube.
I know. Well, I've put something about Fast Money being ended prematurely, but I can't see any evidence of that. I still think you dreamt that or something. But
Well, what kind of person like puts that into YouTube and actually titles of that going, someone will want to watch this one day?
you'd be amazed how many Sale of the Century clips there are.
What they did was he did stop the clock and then he said, "We all know how this is going to end. You've won." That's what he said.
I just don't believe that. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it right now. I think you're lying.
What the hell would I have invented?
I think you're
something
lying
like
to
that?
make yourself sound like you have a better memory of Sale of the Century than you actually do. And I think that's despicable.
What?
You're just
Of all
showing
the humble
off.
brags, things that I could say.
I remember I was once watching an episode of Sale of the Century and an elephant burst onto the stage and started attacking the contestants. I just think you were young and impressionable and didn't understand what was going on.
I was young.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's a clip here from 2001, which seems very recent. I would have thought the show... I picture the show back in the 80s, to be honest. They should bring it back. A nightly quiz show would be great, just to sit there and answer questions.
Yeah.
There's a show in Australia called Hard Quiz, which is quite popular, and I like. And that's one where the contestants come on and they get asked questions about the one thing they know the most about. Right, so you don't get general knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
There's
a show in the UK like that. That's Mastermind.
Right.
The thing about Mastermind that I like is in Mastermind over here, which has been around for a really long time, you have your specialist subject, and I think you get like a minute or a minute and a half of questions about that, and then general knowledge after that, and they combine your two scores. But it's always really interesting because it's a common like discussion that people have. If you were on Mastermind, what would your specialist subject be?
Oh, yeah.
The two things that I think my specialist subject would be the original Star Wars trilogy and the Apollo moon landings. And both of them have been topics on Mastermind, and I was able to see how I did, like how I would do, because they ask you really obscure questions, of course.
Yeah.
And so both those things came up, and I got to test myself and bloody nailed it as well.
Did you? Did you feel pretty proud?
Well, not really, because my wife was watching, and knowing that much about Star Wars is not something to be proud of. What would your specialist subject be if you were on a show like that? Like, what's the thing that you know the most about?
It'd probably be, I don't know, something like U2 or C.S. Lewis. Yeah, just something I've read a lot of books about, or that your brain remembers small details about, Lots of biographies.
What year was C.S. Lewis born?
Oh, I don't know.
1898, 29th of November. Do you know when he died? You should know when he died because it's famous.
Same day as JFK, yeah.
22nd of November.
November 63, yeah?
Yeah.
And Aldous Huxley died the same day as well, the three of them. I'd give C.S. Lewis the Keys to the Planet. He's a real hero of mine. I love C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, but he died, so you can't.
He did. Well, this is true. And I wouldn't give it to you too.
No.
After the last few albums, no.
You want the key back?
That's right.